thanks for joining this webinar with me. So I am Nivas from Vembu Technologies. So I am the organizer for this webinar. So I'm working at Vembu Technologies as a product analyst for the product management team. I'm also having Mr. Pranav with me. So he's a co-organizer for this webinar. So I and Pranav jointly taking this webinar forward. So I once again thank everyone for joining this session with me. So before getting further into this webinar, I would like to let you know the ground rules for this session. Okay, so this webinar is currently being recorded. So you can get the recorded copy of this webinar in 24 to 48 hours in the recorded webinar section in the Vembu website. Okay. And if any attendees join this webinar, so all the attendees will be automatically muted. However, you have a Q&A box. Okay? So if you have any questions during the session, you can just type in and send your questions in the Q&A box. So Pranav or other team members will answer your question immediately. If not, don't worry. So we will send the reply to you by an email. And yeah, at the end of this, so you will get the recorded copy of this webinar. You can find the recorded copy in the website. So these are the ground rules for this webinar. So without much delay, so we'll directly jump into this session. Okay, yeah, I would like to give a small introduction about the Vembu Technologies to the users who newly joined this session. So Vembu Technologies is a backup and disaster recovery software vendor based out of USA, and we also offices in India. So in India, we have office in Chennai, and we do all the operations from our Indian office. And yeah, we founded Vembu Technologies in the year 2002, and we have now 15 plus years of experience in developing and delivering the backup solution for various IT environments. We currently set our footprint over 100 plus countries and 60,000 plus businesses worldwide using Vembu BDS suite to protect the business critical data. So this includes startups to some of the Fortune 500 companies. And these are some of the customers who are currently using BDS suite to protect their critical data. Here you can see, right, companies like NASA, Intel, Cisco, Philips, Motorola, and now Mercedes-Benz and Siemens are also using BDS suite to protect their data. And coming to today's topic, so hybrid work and data loss. Actually, so we are running the series of webinars on this topic, hybrid work and data loss. So for today's session, so we took endpoint as the primary point, primary thing for the discussion. So as you can see, right, so almost every businesses has a backup solution to back up the critical servers. But even though every business has a backup solution for the servers, many of them still neglects to back up their endpoints. No doubt the servers are absolutely important for to run your business, but they are not only the critical components of productivity. So every endpoint you're using requires a backup. So if there is any file corruption or accidental deletion of files, so it will leads to the it impacts the productivity of the employees. So how a backup solution will solve that, and how you solve this the endpoint security and endpoint backup using the various solutions that we are going to see in this session. So the agenda for this session is like, so what are the major threats and the reason for data loss from your endpoints, and the backup strategy that can protect your endpoints data. And BDS Suite has a solution that allows you to back up your endpoints with less effort. So we'll see how BDS Suite helps with a live demo. At the end, if time permits, so we can have a open Q&A session where you can ask your questions and we can answer all your questions. So this is the agenda for this session, and we'll jump into the session. So we'll first see the major reasons for a data loss in an endpoints. So I have picked some of the reasons that we'll discuss now. The first, the primary the reason for the data loss is the human error. So as we are human, and every human tends or bounds to make mistakes. For example, you might be accidentally deleting some of the files that you are thinking today is least important, but tomorrow you may need that file. Okay, so that is some human errors, like you are not realizing the importance of the file and deleting it, or some just selecting all and deleting some of the important files. Then viruses and malware. So yeah, the viruses and malware are like they are everywhere today. So these viruses and malware attacks the endpoint devices and corrupts the business critical files that is pretty much important for your productivity. And hardware damage. So yeah, if you're using endpoint, right, so there is a certain limit for the hardware life, and this hardware damage is totally uncertain. Sometimes it can be like manually physical damage, so a laptop or a tablet accidentally fell from your hand, or it might be due to any damage, like so you are going somewhere and some liquid spill on your keyboard, so it damages the hardware. And the next one is a software corruption. So you might be updating the software regularly, and some of the updates might corrupt or break your total endpoints totally. So software corruption and computer theft. Like so, assume as we are in the remote and hybrid work environment now. So you might be going with your backpack and you accidentally left your backpack, or someone stole your backpack. So this leads to the theft of the endpoints. So again, so you might be working on something critical in your laptop, and this laptop is theft. So this leads to the loss in the productivity, or it's a hindrance for your productivity. And against the hackers and insiders, some of your the people working accidentally clicks some of the phishing links, and it will be shared automatically to you, or some of the people working in your organization or friends and colleagues shared some link. So if you open that link, it might encrypt or corrupt the data in your laptop. So these are the major reasons and threats to the data in your endpoints. Okay, and what happens if you lose the data in your endpoints? What are the consequences? What are the major consequences you will face? The first thing is it will disrupt the productivity of your business. For example, you are doing some critical work, and what happens if that file that you have been working for like 2 or 3 days corrupted or disappear all of a sudden? So it disrupt the productivity. So again, even though if your laptop is restored, you have to start your work from the scratch again. The 2 days of or 3 days of the productivity is lost. The first one is the productivity lost. So if you like, assume that you are in contact with your client or customers, you're working with your client or customers, and suddenly something happened and all your data, the client data, is lost. So the customer will obviously lose the trust on you. It leads to the loss of customer loyalty, and again the customer may not come back to you again for doing the business. And yeah, if this things happens very frequently, it will lead to the permanent failure of your business. So these are the consequences of data loss. So this is not only for endpoints, but yeah, so endpoints is also one of the important thing that you need protection. So next is, so why you need to back up your endpoints? Okay, first thing is, today the remote working is like, so every organization is adopting this remote working methodology. Like so some people so some of the organizations are totally in remote, some are working hybrid. Okay, in any case, so if the data is in server, like if employees are coming and working in your organization, if you're storing all the data in the server, means there is no problem that you will back up only the servers. The backing up server is alone is enough. But in today's situation, so most of the data that employees are working or reside in the endpoint itself, once in a day, or twice a day, so they will be syncing the data to the servers. Okay, so what happened if the employee, some of this the data that is being currently worked got corrupted or deleted? Okay, so now it is pretty much important, so you have to give more importance for the endpoint backup, similar to how you're giving importance to the your servers. Okay. Second, increased ransomware attack. Every 11 seconds, a business is infected by ransomware. Okay. So yeah, if you're working from home, or if you're working from a remote office, so you might be seeing a lot of junk and spam emails. If you click any of these email, this will leads to the corruption, or it's completely lock your system or encrypt all the important data, and you will not be able to continue with the work. Okay, so increased ransomware attacks. And so as in this in today's hybrid environment, right, if you're not providing a proper backup solution to your employees, what employees will do, so they will do some DIY works, like do it yourself works, and they will try to store the backup data. So actually the data is important for them, so what they will do, some DIY backups, they will store the backup data in multiple cloud and different devices. So this will lead to some security issues. So what happen if your employees is storing the data in some insecure cloud outside your organization without your knowledge? So yeah, so your data is, your organization critical data is stored somewhere out of the network, or like insecure places. So yeah, you don't have a control, good control over the data that employees is being working. And yeah, so these are the major reasons why the endpoint backup is pretty much important. So if you have a proper backup in place, so employees, they don't back up the data, or keep a copy of the data outside their endpoint or in different public clouds. So they just leave the backup to the backup rule of the organization. So yeah, so these are the important importance of providing your backups for the endpoint. Okay. So what is the solution? So a complete endpoint backup is a good solution for these problems that we discussed above. Okay, and the solution will like it will be you need to have a solution that is easy to deploy on all user computers. Assume that you're having some 2000 to 3000 employees using the endpoint devices. It is not, you cannot go and install a software on each and every computer to take the backup, or ask them to upload the critical files to a particular drive. So the solution should be completely automatic, that it automatically back up the data from the files and folders from the endpoint devices. And yeah, it should be automatic, and you should also have a flexibility to store the backup data anywhere. Okay, some remote offices, they started completely remote, they don't have any data center. At the time, they opt for some cloud storages, so they can store the backup data on cloud. So that the solution should be flexibility allow you to store the backup data on a local or the cloud data centers or cloud storage medium. And the backup solution that you're using, right, it should not affect the productivity of the employees. For example, it should not take much resource. So assume that you're having a AGB device that you gave to an employee. So what if the backup solution itself take half of the memory to process the backup? It definitely hangs the machine, and it will leads to the productivity disruption. And the solution that you're choosing to backup, right, so that should allow you to recover the backup data very fast and effortlessly at the time of the data loss scenario, or if any employees lose their data or accidentally deleted the data, business critical data. And so the a complete endpoint solution, endpoint backup, is a perfect solution for this. And yeah, what are the things that you need to consider? So yeah, you're now ready to choose your a solution for the endpoint. So what are the things that you have to keep in mind? The first one, the solution should allow some kind of self-service. The employees, for example, you are backing up the employees data. If something goes wrong, so the employee itself log in into the backup solution and restore the necessary files. Or if any new files is being added in a different folder, so he or she should be in a position to add that critical files to backup. So you need to have some kind of self-service capability in the application that you're choosing. And the solution that you're choosing should be absolutely scalable and flexible. Now that you have some 200 to 300 employees, but in next 1 or 2 years of timeline, so you're planning to scale the headcount to like double or triple it. At the time, the solution you're using today should be in a position to scale as the headcount grows, the number of devices, the endpoint devices grows. Okay, that's a flexibility. And yeah, you should also be consider the data storage, in which are the mediums this allow the data to store. Like it allows only in local drive, or the cloud storage is also supported. So what are the cloud storages being supported for the solution? So everything you need to keep in mind while selecting the data. And the resources optimization, like the endpoints, like for example, if you're creating a backup for endpoint, you should be manually or automatically installing some kind of agent on the endpoint devices. The agent that you're installing on the endpoint devices should not affect the productivity of the endpoint of your employees, or it should not take too much resources, like too much CPU or too much RAM. Like it should not affect the productivity of the employees. So suppose if it takes too much of CPU or RAM, so it definitely be a burden for the employee, or they may feel uneasy to work or proceed with the work. Okay. With minimal resource utilization, it captures the changes made by the employees, and automatically send the data to the destination. And administration. So as a IT administrator, you should be like able to get a clear visibility of the data that is being backed up. For example, so if some of the endpoint is not being backed up properly, like during a schedule, if the data is not being backed up properly, so you should be able to initiate the backup, so whenever or on demand. Okay, so and you should also have a good visibility, like how much of data is being backed up. For example, if an employee is backing up, um, he is adding too much of data to the folder, some of the unimportant data. So you should be able to monitor all this and give an alert or give a intimation to the employee to not to add the less critical or person files to the backup the folder, the source folder, so that you should have a clear overview and clear visibility to all the things that are being made on the endpoints related to the backup. So these are the considerations while you have to keep in mind when selecting a good backup solution for your business. And yeah, how Vembu BDS Suite helps in protecting your endpoints. Okay. Yeah, so we have a product called BDS Suite for Endpoints that is specifically designed to back up the data across the endpoints. So Vembu BDS Suite has a complete backup solution for your entire IT infrastructure. So we provide backup for your virtual, physical, cloud, and SaaS infrastructures. And BDS Suite for Endpoints is one of the solution in that. Okay. So this allows the user to manage the backup from their endpoints without any effort. So it is like a one-time setup, so that you have to add your endpoints and you have to select the source files and folders that you need a backup, and you can forget it. The BDS bit will automatically take care of backing up the data. And if something goes wrong, so you'll be able to restore them as soon as possible whenever the employee requires. And it supports backup for your Windows, Linux, and Mac endpoints. Okay, so yeah, you can back up the files and folders, and you can also back up the applications running and application data running inside these endpoints. So this is how BDS Suite helps. Let's see how the BDS Suite for endpoints in action. So I have a small demo set up with me. So I will share that screen and I will explain how that works. Okay, so we'll get started with how to deploy the BDS Suite environment. like if you're already having the BDS suite, so we recommend you to upgrade to the latest version, or else if you're new to the BDS suite, okay, so you can just go to the vembu.com website and click on this download button. So this will take you to the page where you can download the server. So the backup server is the primary component to get started with the endpoints backup. So you can see, right, the installers are available for Windows and Linux. So just click on the download. So it will download the exe. So you have to just download it completely and install it in one of your computer. Okay. Once the application is installed, you're good to go with the backup configuration. Okay, so Vembu BDS Suite is using a web-based console. After the installation, you can access the backup server console just by entering the IP address of the machine where you install the application, followed by the port number. The default port number is 6060. However, you can customize them during the installation. So all the port numbers that BDS Suite is using can be absolutely customizable. Okay. So now see, now I'll share my screen and I will show how the BDS suite works. So I have already installed this in one of my computer. Share that. So I hope you can see my screen. So this is how you can access the console. So just by entering the IP address of the machine in your browser followed by the port number, you can access the BDS server console. So just log in. So the admin and admin are the default username and passwords. However, you can create multiple users with a different level of privileges by going to the settings. Just click on the settings. So you have this user option, and you can also create tenants. Okay, to create a backup for the endpoints, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You have to just go and click on the endpoints. So before that, before configuring the backup, so you need to add the destinations where you want to store the backup. So like I said during the presentation, BDS Suite allow you to store the backup data anywhere. So it can be a block storage, any local storages like local drives or NAS or SAN, or if you have a object storages like S3 or S3 compatible storages like AWS S3 or blob storage. From the next upcoming release, we are also planning to support the Google Cloud Storage. So if you have any cloud storages medium, you can use them as a destination to store your backup data. So after that, just click on endpoints. Yeah. So first you need to add the endpoints to the data source. For this, just click on data source, click on the endpoints you want to add. So it can be a Windows endpoint, Linux, or Mac. So right now the current version does not allow you to add the Mac. However, the next version of Windows support adding the Mac endpoints also. So this is the screen of the next version of Vembu. So here you can see, right? So you can also add Mac as a the source for your endpoints backup. So for this, first you need to add the sources. To add a source, just click on data source, click on add Microsoft Windows. In this example, I'm just show how to add a Microsoft Windows. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Just click on this add Microsoft Windows button. So we have two options. First, you can manually add the endpoints just by entering the IP address or the DNS name. You can add it, or else you can upload it in the form of CSV. So you have to create a CSV, okay, and you have to just specify the CSV location here. So the CSV should contain the name and IP address of the machine, okay, and also the credentials. That's all. So if you're planning to add it manually, just click on add this manually option. So you need to enter the IP address and the DNS name, and you need to provide the credential. Okay, so when you click on save here, you can see this option, right? Under the install BBA. By default, it is set to automatically install the BDS with backup agent into the target host. When you click on save, so we will just communicate with that endpoint, and we will install the agent during this particular session. Or else if you want to install them later or install them on a bulk using a different bulk installation tool, so you can just choose this, I will download BBA and manually install it on the target host. If you select this option, when you click on save, we will add it. but you have to later or at some point in time you have to go and download and install this. To download the agents, just click on this download BBA button. So here the agent is available for Windows, so you can just download and install it. Okay, so the agents will be available for Windows, Linux, and Mac also. So you can, if you are not able to download it, so you can just go to clients and click on download clients. Okay. So yeah, so likewise you can add your endpoints to the data source of the BDS Suite application. So once it is added, you're good to go with the backup configuration. So I have added only one endpoint for this demo. To create a backup job, again, you have to click on this backup in the menu and click on configure backup and click on Microsoft Windows. Okay. So yeah, you have to first give a name for this job. So I'm selecting Windows file. So, and you need to specify where you want to store this backup job. So it is a block storage or object storage, then you have to specify and you need to select the repository name. Okay, then just click on next. So here you can see all the hosts that are added to the BDS Suite server. So just select the host that requires the backup. So as I'm having only one host, right? I'm seeing only one here. If you have multiple hosts, you can choose all the hosts from this page and then click on next. So here you need to select the files and folders that requires the backup. So this is up. Okay, so just click on, if you want to select a common folder or file, common folder across all the endpoints, just click on the file and folder selection exclusion. So you can choose the default folder like this. So if you want to back up all the files on my desktop or documents or pictures or videos, you can just select the default folders. Or if you have any custom folders, right? So you can choose that folder. Like if, for example, if you have a file in F drive, all the employees have a file in F drive, like some Excel docs, Google Office docs. So just select that folder. If you want to back up all the Excel from this file, just select that folder and click on add. Similarly, you can add a number of paths, the folder paths in this location. Okay, so all the files from this folder will be backed up. Or else if you just want to back up a specific file means, so you can also specify the specific file here. If you just want to back up one particular file, so you can just specify the files. Okay, it's already added. Yeah. You have to select the file and you have to click on add. So that file will be added here. So after selecting the files and folders, you need to just click on job level exclusion. For example, if you want to exclude any particular file or file with some pattern, that you can exclude from here. So here you have this option called standard filter. For example, if you just want to include only the PDF files, so you have this option to include only files of type. You can specify the file types here. Or else if you want to exclude any files, so you can specify the file types, and all the files of the selected type will be excluded automatically from this backup. So this is a standard filter. You can specify the file type and make them include or exclude from the backup job. Or else we also have this advanced filter option. So this option allow you to specify the pattern in your file. So you can, for example, you can include only the files that matches the text pattern starts with Vembu. So only the files that starts with Vembu will be backed up. So other files will be automatically excluded. So like you have multiple options here. You can, if it's content, so you can, all the file that contain Vembu will be backed up. All the file that starts with or ends with that contains. So you have multiple options here, and you can select as much as filters to exclude a file or include a file from a folder for this backup. After selecting this, just click on apply. Okay. However, so if you have if you selected multiple endpoints, the rule will be applied for all the endpoints. However, just in case if you want to customize them for a particular endpoint, so you have a endpoint level edit option, so you can just edit and change them to a particular endpoint. After selecting the files and folders and after selecting the exclusion, just click on next. So here in this page, you need to specify the schedule, and you have multiple scheduling options here. So you can run the backups manually one time every few days, daily, hour, or you can also chain your backups. For example, if you want this backup job to run after but running a completion of a particular job, so you can select this after job and you have to specify the name. For example, if this backup job to run after the completion of a Hyper-V block one job, the backup job will run as per the schedule. Like it's like you have multiple options here. So I'm choosing this every few hours, and you also have an additional full backup. So by default, BDS will first take the full backup that backups the files and folders. Okay, and in the successive schedule, you just backup only the changes that has been made on that particular files. Okay? If there is no change in the file, so you'll be like getting no changes or modification in that file. Only the changes that will be tracked and backed up. However, in any case, if you want to take a full backup periodically, you can enable this additional full backup schedule. Just enable and specify the time or schedule for the additional full backups. And you also have a backup window setting. Like if you don't want to run the backup in a particular time period or particular time interval, you can select the window to not run the backup. And you can also set the expiry date for the backup. Like after 2 months, if you don't want to continue the backup means you can just select the expiry date. So the backup will not continue after the expiry time date mentioned in the expiry date. So after this settings, just click on next. So here you need to specify the retention policy. So how many versions of files you need to retain, or for how long period you want to retain the backup data, that you need to specify here. And it is absolutely customizable. So you can choose, for example, if you want to retain the data for last 6 months, just select on 6 months here. And in this, if you want all the version, or within this time period, if you just want to retain only a particular number of versions, so you can also have an option. And you can also specify the number of full backups that you want to retain. And here deleted file retention, for example, if any file is being deleted, how many versions of the file that you have to retain, you can also select from here. After selecting this retention, just click on next. Here is the encryption settings. So if you want to encrypt your backup data, you can just enable this, and you can just leave it to system generated, or you can use your own password to encrypt your data. So if you're specifying your password, you need to be just make sure that you have stored this password somewhere else. Like if you forget this password, you will not be able to restore the data after that. For compliance reasons, so we also do not store the backup data in the application. Okay, so just do the settings and click on next. So that this is the review page. Just review all the settings you have made, and if you're good with the setting selections, just click on save. So it will save the backup and create the backup job for you. So if you want to add some new endpoints, so you can at any point in time, so you can just come to the list jobs. So you can see all the jobs that are configured. So you can edit and add new endpoints to the backup at any point you need, or else you can create multiple jobs with different endpoints. For example, you have some 200 endpoints, so you can create for four backup job, and each backup job has the backup of some 50 endpoints. That's absolutely up to you, and you can specify your own policy for the endpoints backup job creation. And how to recover the data. If something goes wrong, so just click on recovery, and you will be able to restore the backup data from here. Just click on restore, and just click on file level recovery. Just select the files and folders you need to restore. First, you need to select the recovery point. Just select one of the recovery point, and select the files and folders that you have backed up. So you will see the same file structure as that of the files that you have selected for the backup. Just select the files and folders, and you'll be able to restore all the files and folders from here. Like, and you have to select the destination. Just see some basic settings, and just click on review and restore. The data will be restored to the specified destination. Okay, so that's all. So this is how you can simply create a backup job and restore if something goes wrong with the endpoints data. And you also have a detailed report where you can see the status of all the backup jobs here. So you can see this dashboard. So this endpoint is being backed up on October 12, October 17. So there is no schedule. It's a weekly schedule, and there is some failure. So you can see everything here itself. Okay, so this is a endpoints based report. You can also see. So this is one of the endpoints. So that is being backed up successfully. And if you want to see the detailed report, just click on this. You can see the detailed report. So number of files that is being backed up, number of files is modified. So what is the original size? What is the compressed size? You can see everything in detail here. And even if you perform any recovery, so if you want to perform the, if you want to see the report, recovery report, you can also see the number of files that you have restored, what is the success rate, how many files is restored, how many files is not restored, everything you can see in detail here. Okay, and you have various filter, and you can also download the report in the your custom format that you can use it for the future purposes. Okay, and yeah, you can also provide different level of access to the users. Like we have a tenant option, like you can create multiple users and multiple tenants and provide different level of privileges for the different users and tenants. So this is the basic overview of how an endpoint backups works with VDS Suite, and we have the next version of VDS Suite coming soon. So that version that brings a lot of new features and functionalities to the VDS Suite. That we'll have a separate webinar in the coming days about the new release, and we'll explain the new features that came in the version 5.5. So which is the next version of VDS Suite. So I hope everyone get an idea of the importance for protecting their critical data and how Vembu Media Suite helps in protecting your critical data from the endpoints. Okay, so we have a lot of webinars. So if you want to see the recorded webinars on the different topics, that you can just go to the Vembu webinar page, like, and you can see the past recorded webinars. Okay, and yeah, so this product comes with a 30 days of free trial. So if you have any questions, or like if you want to try this product in your environment, so you can just download the 30 days free trial and test and evaluate the product. And during this evaluation, if you have any questions, so you can just directly contact us. So you can contact us through the email here. So you can just drop a mail to vembu-support@vembu.com, or else you can dial in us through this number, or else you can contact us using the chat. So we are happy to help you at any time. So that's all for the session. So if you have any questions, so you can type in your questions. And yeah, we are already getting a lot of questions in this session, and Pranav is answering to your questions. And if you have any questions, you can just let me know. So we will try to answer them now itself. If not, so you can directly contact our support or sales. We are happy to help you at any point in time. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining this session with me. Have a nice day. So I'm sharing this number and email ID. So if you want, if you have any queries, so please feel free to reach us. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.